Hi everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher you can find at makemomentsmatter.org. I also share ideas on Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and a variety of other places which you can find when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. I'm excited to be sharing some ideas this week about introducing barred percussion instruments like the xylophone, the metallophone, the glockenspiel. I'm going to be sharing some of those ideas just a little bit later in the video. And some of the introductory activities you can do, some of the ways you can get kids improvising and trying just a little bit on their instruments, and also I'm going to be sharing about how I made drop covers or easy to clean clear plastic covers for my xylophones and metallophones so that I can easily spray those down and clean them, and I'll be sharing a little bit about that in just a little bit. First, I wanted to just say a couple things. So if you hear me say anything about the links page or where you can find that resource, I have a page dedicated on my blog to all the ideas and things that I share about in these weekly videos. So if you go to my blog, which is makemomentsmatter.org, you can find there's a drop down on the videos page that says like 2020 Musical Mondays recap, and I've also linked that on Instagram on my LinkedIn profile and also Facebook at the bottom caption of this video in case you just want to go straight there, but you can find it if you go to my blog makemomentsmatter.org. One more thing before I start sharing just a little bit about some lesson ideas and some new books that I found. I have made a bundle of all of my Thanksgiving resources on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's everything Thanksgiving. So if you're like, I want the centers and the bulletin boards and the interactive games and the folk song sets, and I just want it all. I made a bundle because I know that some people really like that for Halloween. I bundled up everything for Halloween, so I decided to do that for Thanksgiving as well. So if you're interested, it's there. There's a link on the links page if you want, but it's just everything Thanksgiving. So you're like, I just want everything all in one place, and I just want to get it all. It's all there. So I know some people did appreciate that for Halloween, so I did that for Thanksgiving as well. I wanted to share just a couple new books that are new to me this week. One that is Thanksgiving and one that is not, and just share those really quick because anytime I get a new book that I know that I'm going to use or that I hope that I'm going to use, I always try and bring it here and share with you. This first one, I thought it was brand new, but actually it's like from 2018 or something. I don't know how I had missed it, but it's called My America the Beautiful. And I think I can flip my camera here on Facebook. I still don't think that's an option for Instagram, sorry. But I'm going to flip it here on Facebook so that y'all can see the text correctly. So it'll flip the image. Sorry, Instagram. Instagram isn't capable of doing that. At least I'm not capable of doing that. So this book is called My America the Beautiful. It is based on the song America the Beautiful by Catherine Lee Bates. But this one, the illustrations are done and you can find it under the name Katie Melrose. And it's really cool. You can't really tell from the picture, but this thread, which is a part of the story, you can actually feel it. So like, it's sort of raised up off the page. I don't know if you really can't see that in the video. But it says, trace the fuzzy thread with your finger. So this is especially cool for younger kids if you want sort of a tactile experience. They can actually feel that going through. But let me just read a couple pages. So it says, my beautiful America stands strong and tall and free. It's built on freedom, sacrifice, and rich diversity. And so, like I said, you can follow the feel of the thread throughout. And though we don't agree on all, let's stand with single heart. We'll sing of all that knits us close. It's more than what pulls us apart. Like beautiful and spacious skies or amber waves of grain or purple mountain majesties above our fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown our good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. We share each step of pilgrims' feet whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom's beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend our every flaw, confirm our soul in self-control, our liberty in law. So the cool thing I love is that it does have this idea of following the thread through the story, and like I loved on the well, it just sort of goes through the barbecue, which is cool, and it like when it goes on the this thing about the pioneer, the pilgrim going through. I love the idea that it's maybe tracing the path through the wilderness. But anyway, it doesn't follow the exact words of America the Beautiful, but it is very close, and it's sort of like a take on that. So why am I bringing it up now? Well, obviously the election just happened not that long ago, so kids will have that in their head. But also Veterans Day, this is a great book to add in. We venerate each hero proved in liberating strife, who more than self our country loved, and mercy more than life. So super cool to be able to bring that in, that connection in there. And I mean, just on every page, there's something you could tie in with a different part of the year if you wanted to, but it's just great to have, and it does match the song in many ways. So you can see, like, this is especially cool because it has different parts of skylines from around the country. So there's the Empire State Building, there's the Bean from Chicago, there's the St. Louis Arch, the Seattle Space Needle. So there are just different cool parts about this book. The illustrations are really beautiful. And then here on this last page, what stitches us together is more than what pulls us apart. So the thread that's gone through every part of the book turns into stitches onto the United States, which I think is just super cool. It's a really beautiful graphic, but this would be so much fun to put into a center when we can bring those back. It would be fun to put into a subtub. It'd be great for comparing and contrasting, or if you're introducing the song America the Beautiful, this would be a great resource to have. But it's just a super great book. It would be especially nice as we're talking throughout the country about how we've talked for feels like years about what divides us, now talking about what is bringing us back together. So this would be just a really cool book. So this is called My America the Beautiful, and it is based on the song by Catherine Lee Bates, but the illustrations are by Katie Melrose. And this is published by Familius. F-A-M-I-L-I-U-S. It's on the links page, but you can get this book on Amazon. It's like $12.99, I think, but it's just a super cool book. Like I said, for Veterans Day, it would be perfect. For post-election, it would be perfect, or for your subtub, or for any kind of a patriotic unit, it would be great. I have a folk song set that I would pair with this for older grades, so that then I could take and do a compare or contrast, or talk about how it's different, how the author of this book did a variation. You know, it'd be cool to have that the traditional information of the traditional song alongside this book. So I just wanted to share that. I was like, oh, wow, what a cool new book. It's brand new. It's not brand new. It's been out a couple years, but I just had not seen it. So brand new to me, so I wanted to share with all of you. That's the first book that I found this last week. It was one that I got on Amazon. I'm sure you can get it other places. I'm sure you can get it on their website, familius.com, F-A-M-I-L-I-U-S.com, if you want to bypass Amazon. This next one I've seen on Amazon, and I had not purchased it until just now. It was $3.99 and came really, really fast. So 10 Fat Turkeys. This is written by Tony Johnston, illustrated by Rich Dees. Let me read a few pages of this one. This is published by Scholastic, so I'm sure you could get it from Scholastic directly. I can never know where to hold this. Okay. Gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble, do a noodle dance. 10 fat turkeys fooling on a fence. Okay, I don't like that. It doesn't rhyme. But you know what? I'm going to go right past that. Looky, says a silly turkey, swing from a vine. Gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble, whoops. Now there are 9. Looky, squawks a goofy turkey, trying to roller skate. Gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble. Oops, now there are 8. Looky, calls a foofy turkey, flapping to blue heaven. Gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble. Oopsie, there are 7. Okay, flapping to blue heaven, that is a stretch, but I really appreciate that, Tony Johnston. Good job out there. Looky, cries another turkey, balancing some bricks. Gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble. Uh-oh, there are 6. So there are repetitive elements in this book that elementary kids are going to love. Number 1, they're going to love that they can hear and know what number is coming next. They're going to get it in about 10 seconds that is a countdown book. Like they're going to figure that out right away. The other thing that's going to be fun is that on every page there's a lookie of the new turkey who's like, lookie, watch this. So they'll anticipate that and they'll be able to participate in that. But each page is different. One is like balancing bricks. One does a dive. One, lookie whoops another turkey strutting on a boar because they couldn't rhyme anything else with four, I guess. One swallows a bee, one whistling in a shoe. Why? I don't know. They just needed something that rhymed with two. Okay. Blowing bubble gum, jumping up and down. So they end up with none, right? None. Gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble, do a do a noodle dance. That's another thing that kids could repeat and say with you, the gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble. Do a noodle dance. No more turkeys. Crash. Bang! And no more fence. Because on every page it was, something on a fence, something on a fence. Well, because they're on a fence. And no more fence. Just a minute. What is this? Bibble, babble, jibble, jobble. Looky, look at me! 10 fat turkeys fooling in a tree. The end. So theoretically, they could all just do their silly thing again, right? Like it's going to repeat. It's like an inception. It's going to happen again because they went from the fence now to the tree. I see some fun, cool connections. You could totally do something with the gobble, gobble, wibble, wobble, right? You could add body percussion to that. You could have them say it every time. I mean, there's so many cool things with that. You could you talk about the countdown. You could have them, there's so many silly little things that you could add in, right? But then this is a perfect segue if you do the song, 5 fat turkeys are we, slept all night in a tree. If you know that Thanksgiving song, this would be perfect because they go from the fence into the tree, right? You could also talk about why are they doing all those silly things on the fence? Those weren't some great choices, but it could just flow in with any of your other turkey lessons. But like I said, $3.99 and it's a countdown. So, you could add in instruments, you could add in whatever you want. There'd be so many. You could talk about what other things could they do. You could talk about rhyming words. A whole host of ideas. But it was only $3.99, so I was like, perfect. And if nothing else, I could read it, and that would be fun for the kids. And there are rhythmic elements to it, so it'd be just a cool book to add in. So I thought I had to share this, but I thought the lead-in at the end of the song to them being in the tree, I was like, oh my gosh, that is perfect for 5 fat turkeys. Obviously, this is a winner. So very inexpensive. That was by Tony Johnston, illustrated by Rich Dees. I got it on Amazon for $3.99. You could probably get it straight from Scholastic if you wanted. If the book fair came through and you have some book fair money or whatever, you could probably also get it. I know a lot of the book fairs are doing online book fairs now, or you can also order through the online book fair, so it'd be a fun one to add. But those two books, My America the Beautiful and 10 Fat Turkeys, I'll put both of those on the links page in case you want to go back and look those up later. Like I said, you don't have to buy from Amazon. When I put those things on the Amazon page, it's so that you can go get the ISBN, or you can get the author or whatever to help identify that book and look it up. So you can get it from your local library, or you can get it from PTO or whatever. I put them all there. But if you want to get them from Amazon, like this one, it'll come to you in a couple days if you have Prime, and it's like $3. So if you're interested, it's there. Okay, I wanted to share those books really quick before I move on to mallet stuff. So I'm actually going to move this camera really quick. I'm going to move it back because there's no way you could see the instrument that I brought home. I schlepped home a soprano xylophone. So you won't be able to see it. So I'm going to move this back just a little bit. Okay, I hope that's far enough. We'll find out. You can see more of my cluttered office. How exciting. Okay, let's see if you can actually see it. Okay, sort of. Let's try and move this down. Woo! Okay, so Instagram, you can't see it. I will work on that. Hold on. Sorry. Thanks so much for bearing with me. It's always interesting to do these videos and are you going to be able to see it? Can you hear it? I don't know. Okay. So, first I want to, and then I'll switch this video back. So first I want to talk about how I'm incorporating these instruments this year. It's going to be different than years past. So because my students can't share any instruments, because we can't share mallets, that makes it a little trickier. I am very, very, very blessed that I'm in a school where I have about an instrument per kid. That's going to be different for people who don't have that, I understand. But one of the cool things about what I'm going to show you is that it makes it a little bit easier to clean up after or clean in between. So I saw this idea from my friend Emily, who posted on a Facebook, like an ORF Facebook group. ORF Schulwerk is a way to, I've been on this before. The elevator pitch is ORF Schulwerk. If you don't know ORF Schulwerk, most people know ORF because of the barred percussion instruments, but ORF Schulwerk is really a way to teach music to students, and it involves movement, speech, instruments, singing, all different elements. But one of the biggest elements that people think of when they think of ORF is just the instruments, probably because of that comes along or developed with ORF Schulwerk. So how do you use these big instruments and how do you clean them is a big question, because people want to use the instruments, but how can you do it in a safe manner? Well, what she thought of, or what she saw in a Facebook group, and she did a tutorial video about how to make covers for your instrument. So I don't know if you can see this, but on the instrument, I have this clear, like, drop cover. And this means that I can, at the end of a class, I can, instead of trying to wipe down each bar or do something like that, I can just spray down this cover and let it sit. That's the recommendation from our school, is if you have a surface that needs cleaning, you spray it down and let it sort of sit. I think you could use a Lysol wipe on it. You could use another kind of spray if that's something that your school would want to do. But I would say whatever you do what a recommendation of your school district would be. But what I basically did was I followed her video, and I linked that on the links page in case you just want to use Emily's video as an example. But I followed her video. I bought these very inexpensive from Walmart shower liners, because our school has like a Walmart credit card or whatever, so that was how they wanted to buy them. You could probably get some from Amazon, Home Depot, wherever, but we got these from Walmart, and this is just a lightweight shower liner. When the secretary went to Walmart and she came back, she was like, I got you the one that you said you wanted, but it was really inexpensive. Did you want like the thicker one? I'm like, no, I just want the cheapest one you can get, because I'm not like trying to do anything fancy with it. I'm just trying to cover the instruments. But I figured the lighter would probably be better so that the sound could come through. And let me just lift up part of this so you can sort of hear what it sounds like with and without the cover. So I'm going to use sort of a standard felt mallet. Here it is without, and here it is with. Like very, very, very little difference. So on this end, you can hear that, but if putting the cover on it means that I can use the instrument, for this year, I don't care. You know, yes, it's a slight difference in the tone and the quality, but for what we're doing and for what I want my kids to get, I don't care. It does mean I can't take bars off, which is sort of a pain, but unless I like take all the bars off and then put the cover on top, you know, but whatever, it makes the instrument more accessible. So the video, basically, she showed you how to measure out for your instrument what size you would want, and I can't give you exact measurements because it really depends on the instrument, but all you have to do is you take the shower curtain, you unfold it. I cut off like the top part, and then where the hooks would go through, I cut that off, and then you basically just cut the shape that you need for your instrument. You tape it down, and she uses packing tape on the ends. One really smart thing was she used a little bit of a dab of tape under each side so it sort of stays stuck down. And basically I have to teach my kids, like, when they're rolling or moving the instrument, they have to like be very, very, very gentle with it because these will come up. But my kids are just, at this point, they're very excited about playing, so they're like, sure, we'll follow your directions. It might be that they get a little bit wilder with them, but if I have to replace these shower curtains, oh my gosh, at like $2.99 a pop, okay, With the smaller instruments like the soprano xylophones, I can get 3 or 4 covers out of one shower curtain. For my altos and my basses, I think I got 2 covers per shower curtain, which is still okay. So anyway, it works for instruments that are sitting on the floor or mine which are sitting on stands. But the great thing is that at the end of the lesson, I can take a Lysol wipe to the mallets themselves, and then I can just take my spray and spray down the cover of the instrument, and it helps to sanitize and make it available for students in the next time we need them. My school district says that they don't care if we spray down and then if there's 10 or 15 minutes in between uses, then they say that's fine. I spray them down and leave them overnight. I've sort of scheduled out and planned out so that I don't have 2 consecutive classes or 2 classes a day using the same instrument because of our rotation and everything. It works. You maybe have to change that for what's happening at your school based on your schedule. But this is the way we did it. It's very, very, very inexpensive shower curtain liner to cut up and make the covers. So there's that. Let's talk about how to get into the instruments. First, again, it all sort of depends on what you want to do. I'm going to adjust these one last time. I promise I'll stop doing this. Okay. Okay, Instagram, let's see a little better. Let me see if I can move down. Ooh. Nope, definitely can't. Okay, so how you do this with your students, how you do the logistics of moving or teaching them how to handle the instrument, that all depends on you, the teacher, and it all depends on your personal preference and what you want to do. I lied, I said I was going to stop. I'll promise I'll stop. It all depends on what you want to do. So let me give you a couple ideas. This year we're not taking off bars. When we do take off bars, we have a whole procedure about, you treat it like a helicopter and blah, 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 and we do lifting and whatever. That's different. At my school, I have instruments on carts. If you're having students pick up and physically move, you might not have a procedure for that. My kids, I say, this year, we're holding on to both sides and just scooting along sort of like a walk. I had a kid who was like, it's like a walker at a nursing home. I'm like, I guess. But they're holding on to both sides and just scooting very gently across both sides and not moved by the plastic, but both sides so they really do get the instrument moving and going. The mallets are really where the technique part comes in for me. So we talk to students about mallets. I talk to them about all the different kinds of mallet, and I basically take a mallet and compare it to a stick, and I say, they're all different kinds. A mallet is just sort of a long stick with some bigger end, whether that's like just this one just has a wooden ball on the end. But some have, like this one has felt on the end, which is sort of like a soft material, that you could bounce on a bar, which is different than the wood, right? And we can talk about how it's different and why it's different. Some have yarn, like this poor little guy who's been used a long time. And that's just yarn wrapped around and around and around and around. This one's sort of a weird, fancy one that has like a little bit of the wooden ball, plus also like a little halo of like the felt. I don't know why Stoner decided to make these like this, but I'm sure there's a great reason, but kids always seem to somehow do that, but Stoner knows best. So anyway, they're all different kinds of mallet, and we actually talk about mallets and sticks and whatever and how they're different. I want them to be able to identify a mallet versus a stick. I want them to be able to talk about what that means, just so that they have that in their head, because we use it so often. I want them to have that vocabulary. Anyway. Okay, where's the matching mallet? Good times. Oh, here they are. So, and then I've got these for this instrument. So before we even get to the instrument, we start with, and this is a 2nd grade lesson, could be 1st grade, could be kindergarten. We start with a finger play. And the one that I've been doing with my 2nd graders recently is Jack Be Nimble. So we actually just start with the poem first. We go, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! And I actually tell him a whole silly story about, I had a friend Jack, and he was a great jumper, and he would run, and jump, and he would always land on his feet. We said he was nimble because he could always jump and land exactly where he meant to, and he always landed on his feet. He didn't ever go like, Ralph, and really hit it. He was always so light, and so we called him nimble. And he was also quick, which meant he was very fast. So we said, Jack, you're so nimble. And he said, thanks. He said, Jack, you're so quick. Thanks. And then one day he came out on the playground and he was running and jumping, and we were all sort of watching him, and he said, oh, watch this. And he went, run, 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 run. Woo! And he jumped over like a pile of like balls and hula hoops and stuff. I'm like, whoa, Jack, that's really impressive. And he said, oh yeah, watch this. Run, 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 run. Woo! And he jumped over a bush, which was like probably not a good idea, but he did it anyway. And we're like, whoa, Jack, that's maybe not a good idea, not a good choice, but wow, we're very impressed. He said, oh yeah, watch this. And then he went, run, 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 run. Woo! And he jumped over a bench. And we were like, oh my gosh, Jack, that was like so cool. But like maybe not a great idea to do that because I was not maybe very safe. But wow, so impressed. He said, oh yeah, watch this. Run, run, run. Woo! And he jumped over like the world's biggest puddle. We're like, oh my gosh, Jack, this is so great. And he said, oh yeah, watch this. And then we saw there was a teacher who was leaning down to tie someone's shoe. And we went, no, Jack, don't do that. And he went, run, run, run. Woo! And he jumped over both the teacher and the kid who was getting their shoe tied, and the teacher didn't even notice. And we went, Jack, oh my gosh, how did you do that? But that was definitely not a good choice. You probably shouldn't have done that. But oh my gosh, whoa. And he went, oh yeah, watch this. And then somebody, I don't even know how they were able to do this because it's not really allowed, but they had a birthday party, and they were having a birthday party out in the playground that day, which was sort of weird. And they had a real cake with real candles. I don't even know how they were allowed, because we're not allowed to have that at school, but they did. And Jack went, watch it, and he went run, run, run. But wait, do you think that was not a good idea for Jack to do? And we talk about like, well, okay, this is always interesting because kids will, Jack jumped in, what if he'd land on the cake? He'd smush it and ruin it. Oh, yes, maybe, yeah. Jack, he could like burn himself. He could catch on fire. Oh, maybe. Right, this is why it's a bad idea. Then there was one time our kid was like, he could knock over the candle and it could catch the school on fire, and then we'd all have to evacuate, and then it could burn down like my classroom. And I was like, okay, unlikely, but maybe, but probably not gonna happen. Anyway, you never know what's gonna go. But we do talk about why you should not mess with fire, and so we have a little moment about that. But anyway, so he goes, so Jack, we remember, and I have a picture on the screen of a candle with a flame coming out of it, and kids don't always know exactly what that is because they're used to seeing like candles in like a vessel, right? They're used to seeing like a candle in here, maybe at home. Maybe not as used to seeing like a stick candle. And so I talk about like Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast to give them that idea of what the candle stick might look like. Because again, anytime I teach a poem or a finger play or anything, I try and give them context so they know what we're talking about. Because if we talk about a candle stick, well, what does that mean? Or if we talk about nimble, I gotta explain that word because I don't want to just have them say that word but not know what it means. Right, so we go through. So anyway, so I have a picture on the board of a candlestick and the flame coming out, and I say, Jack went run, 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 woo! And as he was going over the candle, he made it over the candle, but he forgot that the flame comes out of the candle, and the air above the flame is very, very hot. And so he went run, 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 woo! And as he was going up and over, his foot went right through the flame and he burned his toe. And when he landed that time, he landed, and he was pretty nimble. He did land okay. But then he grabbed his toe and he went, ouch! And then guess what? That teacher who he had jumped over, who he shouldn't have jumped over, somebody had told her that Jack had jumped over her. And so she was already angry. And then she saw him jumping over the birthday cake, which made her even angrier. And then she saw the fire part and she got even angrier about that. Anyway, so then Jack got in trouble. But anyway, Jack, he burned his toe. It's very sad. We wrote a poem about it. It goes, that's always the part where kids are like, oh, you did. So anyway, it goes like this. It goes, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. You know what? We could add a little part like this. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. Try that with me. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. And then it goes, Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. And you know what? Sometimes when I think about him going high, it makes me think of the sound his feet made, because he goes run, 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 run. And then right before he jumps into the air, he takes little steps and he goes bump, 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 bump. And then he jumps. So we could go, Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. That's like the sound of his feet, like bum, 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 bum. And he goes up and over. You know what? We could even do, because it goes Jack jumped high, and we could even, and low. We could even go high and low like this. We go, Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! I always like adding a slap in there because it's like, because when it hurts, it's sort of like, you know, like it makes a good like that hurt sound. So maybe we could go like do the whole thing. We could go like Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over the candlestick, Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low, Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! Right, because that would hurt probably. You know what? So that's the finger play, and we will do, you know, back and forth, do questions, whatever. And then when we get to it, I think, you know, I have some sticks. They're not candlesticks because they're not candles, but it reminds me of what a candlestick might look like Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. Like, look, see, it's like I'm holding the candlesticks in my hand. I would need another one for my head if I were Lumiere. But anyway, so we've got these sticks, and I think these would be great to add to our poem. So the first day we learn the poem. Maybe later in the day we add rhythm sticks. Maybe I wait until another day to add rhythm sticks. But the progression is like learn the finger play on your own in your own personal space. Instruments are not involved at that point. Add in rhythm sticks is the next part. So we're going to add the rhythm sticks. And I wonder if we can do the same sort of thing. Before we did, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over the candlestick. But I don't think that I want to hit my knees. So instead, why don't we do... Oh, you know what? If we do this action with the sticks in our hand, sometimes we almost click. So let's try clicking. So let's try Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. You could do that. Or you could do on the floor. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick, right? Whatever you want to do, whatever kids want to try, right? And then Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. Right? You could do that. Or what's another thing we could maybe do is, oh, I know. Watch this. Jack jumped high. Jack jumped low. You could do high and low on the stick. Or what's another way we could do? Jack jumped high. Jack jumped low. You know, you could do that. Whatever you want to do, you could try it a couple different ways. And then Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! Ooh, you know what? When we go ouch like that, and we make this, it's sort of like an X, like do not do that sign, like not allowed, right? We can make that sign at the end when we say ouch. Let's try to put the whole thing together. Here we go. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. Jack jumped high. Jack jumped low. Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! You know what else we could do? We could go high. Jack jumped low. And like tap on the floor. Wow. And we explore all these different things. Kids, I say like, ooh, try something else. See what else you can come up with for high and low. And I let them watch. I say, oh, I see someone going like this. I see someone going like that. I see someone going like, you know, like, ooh. You know, and I try and point out to what different kids are doing in different ways just because I want them to see the options of what can they do. And then we do the whole thing together, and I let kids try their own way or whatever. I have several different kinds of rhythm sticks. At school, I see someone asking about them. Several different kinds. I have some that are like really old. I inherited from another music teacher that are wooden, multicolored. They're cool. I have another set of the like one side is like the rib sort of, you know, guiro sort of scratchy, and the other side is not. I don't really like those, but they're great for my kinders and first. These are actually plastic Lummy sticks. You can find them in PE catalogs. I think they might be on westmusic.com, but there is a link on the links page, on my Amazon links page, which if you're interested, just send me a thing and I can send you the link on my Amazon. Because I have an Amazon like ideas list, and this is under like the movement tools or whatever, the stuff. But anyway, these are really nice. They're not all that expensive. They come in green, yellow, blue, and red, and you get a set of all 4 colors. I think you get 6 of each, and they're really great because they're hollow. They're great for stick passing, tossing games when we can do those again. But like I said, you can find them in PE catalogs too if you have to order like through a vendor or whatever. But these are super cool. So we do a day of rhythm sticks, and then when we do get to instruments, you know, the first thing we do with instruments, we'll get back to Jack be nimble, Jack be quick in a second, but we're going to take it to the instruments. But it all starts with the finger play and then the rhythm sticks, and then it eventually will end up here. When we get to the instruments, the first time for the year, we get to our spot, we find our spot, we figure out how to do it. Kids start just, you know, doing things on the mounts. I don't freak out about that. And I used to be like, no playing until we're all playing together. But I don't really do that anymore because kids naturally just want to play. And guess what? When I'm in a workshop and I sit down at an instrument, I do that too. So people just want to play. So I don't, unless they're like really going at it or they're really being a nuisance or whatever, I don't make it a problem because I don't want kids to feel like they can't play. I don't want them to think like we can't explore. Because that's literally what we're about to do. And so I don't want to shut them down like, nobody plays. I want them to have the feeling like, it's okay, we'll get to play together in just a second. So we take our mallets and we get mallets in each hand. Say, great, hold your mallets up, hold your mallets down. Do shoulder holders. Ooh, good, that means one on each shoulder. Do under armor. Ooh, that means under your arms, right? So we'll do a cool kid pose. Do antenna. Do what else could we do? Let's see. Oh, do candlesticks, right? Like Lumiere, right? And so we talk about the different ways to hold. These are all just ways that I can like say later, like shoulder holders, and they'll all go like this, and then hopefully they'll all stop playing, right? So like if there's ever a time where like it's loud and we're doing stuff and I goes like Under Armour, then they do it, and then they're all quiet. So it's like silly, it's exploring at first, like, oh, how are the other ways we can hold the mallets? But then it's also like a classroom management thing later on when I'm like, stop playing. Instead of saying stop playing, I say like, cool kid pose. Whatever. But it's just a way to get them to figure it out. If you want to go even a step further, you could introduce that at the rhythm sticks phase of this lesson, and then by the time they get to the instruments, they've already learned it. So how do we hold the mallet? So then I have them put down one of their mallets, and I want them to learn how to hold it so then when we start exploring, we start doing, then they're holding them out the correct way the whole time. So I show them a turtle, and we talk about the turtle. This is a little finger puppet from, I don't know what brand. I wish I knew what brand. I found it on the Puppet Company website. And by the Puppet Company, I mean literally the company is called the Puppet Company. But I found it on their website. I cannot for the life of me figure out what brand it is. I do have a large, like a hand puppet version of a Folkmanis brand turtle. I also have a Folkmanis brand finger puppet, but I also have this one, and this one for some reason really appeals to kids in this activity. So whatever. I did find a link on the Puppet Company. It's like $5.95 or something. I think I got it from West Music. Couldn't find it on their website. Anyway, the reason I bring out the turtle is I say like, ooh, do you all know a turtle? Turtles are easy to spot because, well, they're usually green, I guess, and they're usually short, and they don't move very fast. And what else do you know about turtles? Oh, they usually have 4 legs, right? And then they usually have a head and a little tiny tail. And kids at this point are like, and they have a shell. I'm like, oh, right, the shell. Oh, right, the shell. That's probably that's probably the first thing people think of. Why did I think of that? Anyway, but I'm pointing out the other things about the turtle because that's going to come back in a second. So the turtle has its shell, and it moves along the ground really slowly. And turtles love to lay on their back, don't they? They go, oh, I'm sunning myself. And kids are like, no, turtles don't like that. They can't. One time I had a kid who's like, that turtle might suffocate if it's stuck on its back. And I was like, oh, Lord, why don't my lessons turn into like life lessons? Anyway, so I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they love to lay on their side, don't they? And they're like, no, they don't like it. Oh, they like to have their shells up. Yeah, they like to have their shells up. Okay, cool. Well, you know what? I wonder, can we use our mallet to make our hand into a turtle? So let's see, if we're gonna do that, the big part we need is the shell, right? So this part of our hand can be the shell. That would mean that this is the neck, and here's the head on the end. And then you have a little turtle, right? Okay, a turtle tail. And then his little feet can come out if they need to. But you don't want to have a turtle with no tail. And then my little finger puppet's like, that would be embarrassing, right? So you need to have a little bit of a tail. But you don't want to have a super long tail and no neck. That would also be embarrassing. Yeah, so then if you have them moving back and forth, and this is a way for them to move the mallet in their hand to get it moving around, it also is getting them to find the optimal like tail to neck ratio, right? So it's sort of in the right place. And then I say, you know what? I had a little girl, a 3rd grader, who was like, hello, little turtle. How are you doing today? And then she pushed his little head down right in the sand, which was very, very sad. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. And then she picked up her mallet and she went, look, I made a turtle. How nice and exciting. and she pushed its little head into the sand. I said, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know, I can't help it. So then I showed her how to wrap her finger around to like hug the turtle around his neck, right? And so this is then then her turtle's head can move and it's free. The reason I tell that story, which is not true, I did not have a third grader do that, but the reason I do this is because when kids put their fingers on the mallet, the shaft of the mallet like that, and it presses down, then when they start playing later, it's going to dampen the mallet, dampen the bar, so it's not going to ring very well. So having them sort of put their finger like a hug around lets the mallet move a little bit better. That story is just for the like 4 or 5 kids in every class who just do this instinctively, and they do this because it gives them more control. I understand that, but also I know that like proper mallet technique, you gotta let it move and bounce. So anyway, that little story, the visual of the turtle revolutionized my time with students because they were able to hold the mallet better, they were able to understand better, they were able to be just better players all the time. So it was a great little tool to have. So this $5.95 finger puppet is worth all the money. Okay, so then we make two turtles, and I saw someone asked, are your students playing with plastic on their instruments? Yes. And that's why I showed at the beginning, because then I can just spray it down and Lysol it and clean it and whatever, and then I don't have to wipe down each individual bar. I don't have to worry about a chemical or something going on the bar, the wooden bars, and ruining the bars. I can just spray it on the plastic, and the sound is really not significantly different, so totally fine. Okay, so then we do 2 turtles, right? And you say, hello, little turtle. Hello, how are you? I'm doing great. And then it'd be like, oh, are you really doing great? No, because somebody's pushing down my head. You know, it's like when you make that a silly thing, kids are like, ha ha ha, and then they don't do it, right? They fix it. Or I can come along and be like, watch out, you're pressing your turtle's head in the sand. They're like, oh no, and then they switch. So just having fun and talking about that is a great way to get them to do mallet technique correctly. Okay, then once we got the 2 mallets, I say, great, can you have your turtle bounce his head on a letter C? And what in your other turtle, can he find another C? So there's one C for each turtle. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. Let's try a steady beat on the C's. Ooh, I love that. Great. Can you find a letter G? And maybe for your other hand too? Ooh, nice. Okay, you know what? I want to see if you can find some bars for me. If you can find a letter E, give it 3 taps. If you can find a second letter E, give it 4 taps. Ooh, good. So this is having kids like look around, trying to identify different parts of their instrument, find where the alphabet restarts itself, find where the C comes again so they can find those duplicates and things. If you can find a letter D, give it 6 taps. If you can find another letter D, give it 2 taps. If you can find a letter K, give it 45 taps. And so then they're like, where's the K? Where's the K? And they're like, oh, that can't find a letter K. I'm like, we must not have a letter K. If you can find a letter A, give it 7 taps. If you can find a second letter A, give it 3 taps. Good. If you can find a letter R, give it 93 taps. And then they're looking, they're like, there's no letter R. I'm like, rats. How about if you can find a letter J, give it 106 taps. And they're like, no J. Okay, well, I made a mistake once because these Sonar brand instruments, the letter B, I'll just show you, it says H equals B on there. And so I one time accidentally said, if you can find a letter H, and some kid was like, because he he saw it already, and I was like, tap it 3 times. I caught myself before I was like 145 times. But if you say like those letters that are not there, then you can say like 149 times, and they're like all about finding it, and then they'll never find it because it doesn't exist on the xylophone board. Anyway, so it's funny to do that, and it's fun to do, but it usually ends up with put one mallet on a C, put your other mallet on the other C, and let's do a steady beat. Great, and we just keep a steady beat at first, and then I say, ooh, hold on. Can we bring Jack back in? The C and the C could be for the Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Remember how we did that? Let's try. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Wait, you know what? When we were exploring through the instruments, I think I heard that this instrument can make a high sound. So when we say Jack jumped high, maybe we can jump to the end of the instrument that has the high sound. Which would that be, the big bar or the small bar? I think it's the small bar. So maybe when we get to the Jack jumped high, you could go Jack jumped high, or you could do Jack jumped high, or you could do Jack jumped high. So that he ends high. I don't care what you do. You can do anything you want. I don't care, as long as it's on the high side. And then for low, high and low are opposites. So if high is the small bar, that would mean low would need to be the big bar, right? Okay, so you could do Jack jump low, or you could do Jack jump low, Jack jump low. Whatever you want to do. And you know, I talk them through and give them a couple examples because I want them to explore. I want them to try some different things. The idea of this poem is not, this is the one way we do Jack Be Nimble, and you better do it the way I'm doing. No, like that's not the point. The point is I want them to explore the instrument. I want them to feel comfortable trying different things. I want them to feel comfortable holding the mallets. And so giving them the freedom to choose, or maybe the next time, you know. Number one, it's giving them control of like a tiny little thing, which is going to lead to improvisation skills. It's also showing them they can explore the instrument. That's fine. It's also encouraging them to find pleasurable patterns or pleasurable sounds, right? Things that they think are good and why. It also encourages them to use separate mallet hands, because otherwise it could just be, you know, with one hand. But this is like, you know, use other hands so it's doing a lot of things. But if I had said Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low, that's the way we're going to do it. We would never have that experience. And so it's good to explore and go through the bars. So we do C and C. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. Jack jumped high, Jack jumped low. Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! And we're still going to do the X, because that's like a don't do it sign. We could do like whack, but then kids are going to like whack on the instrument, really hurt it. Or you could hit, you do in the box or something. But I like the X, because then if you leave X as the last thing in the poem, Jack jumped over and burned his toe. Ouch! Then guess what? As soon as the poem's done, they're quiet, because they're not playing. If you let them play the instrument, burned his toe. You could have that for like 25 seconds going on, but if you have them do the X as the last thing, then it's like, ooh, they're quiet. So that's where we end. So once we do that one time through, they're like, oh, great, we did it. And I say, you know what? Can you put your turtle heads on the letter D and the other letter D? Can you find those two? I could have them in a fifth. I could have a D and an A, which is like what we would maybe do when we're accompanying later, but we're not accompanying, so I don't actually need that. I don't need the harmony. I don't need the open fifth. Plus also then when you get to, it's just not, I don't like the moving up by fifths. It messes with my head. Because I keep going back to like parallel fifths. I mean, parallel octaves are bad too, but anyway. So I like doing just the octaves, because then they can find those different, and then if you move up by octave and every time you redo the poem you do D's, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump, and then the next time you do E's, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump, and the next time you do F, then once you get to a point on your instrument where you can't double anymore, because theoretically they're going to run out, right? For me on this instrument, it's when I hit B, because this instrument is not a tenor, it doesn't go the full 2 octaves, so then I could either hit on the box, that's not very exciting, or then I could alternate my hands. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, just to stay on the B. Right, but the cool thing about this is if you're moving up, it's getting them to, you know, stay on the octaves, to stay on their bars, and then also the interspersing in between of the, moving up by octaves means they don't get tired of it as quick, because they are switching back and forth. If you don't have enough instruments for each kid, I would maybe have, if you can do 2 sets of mallets, if each kid can have their own set of mallets, then you might switch out instruments in between. because the instrument itself is probably going to be okay. It's the mouse that their like grubby fingers are touching that are probably going to be like a vector if there is any sickness. So I would, if they could have their own instrument, that would be great. If they could only have one mallet, you could still sort of do the activity, but it'd be better if each kid had two. But the other kids who aren't playing, guess what? They can do the poem, or they can do rhythm sticks, which is what we started the activity with, or they can do the finger play, right? So that's you. I mean, you could play around with that. I have done two kids to an instrument in previous years. I can't do that this year because I can't have kids sharing the space that close. I can't have kids one on each side that close this year because of space issues. But in other years, in coming years, in the further years, I might be able to do that. But that's something you can do with Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Quick. Other fun finger plays you can do this with. Oh, and also, if you want other explorations like this, Mallet Madness by Artie Almeida is a really cool book to give you some of those like exploratory activities. And in here she has this fun activity about the book Mortimer, which is like going up and down stairs, so like perfect for an instrument like this. There's another book called Mallet Madness Strikes Again. I keep wanting to keep saying The Mallet Strikes Back, like The Empire Strikes Back. That's what I think every time. But I think the second one is called Mallet Madness Strikes Again. But these are just really great activities if you want like introductory things, or you want things that you can stair-step into your lessons. It's a really great book. Okay, a couple other finger plays that you could try that are really, really fun, that you could turn into exploration of the instruments. There's one called There Was a Little Turtle, and they encourage you to do like a turtle like this, like a sea turtle, I guess. Like maybe you've seen that before, but it goes... and I just found this today, so I've not used it yet, but I was like, ooh, you could for sure use. It goes, there was a little turtle who lived in a box. He swam in a puddle. He climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito. He snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow, and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. I think you could so easily do there was a little turtle, because we already talked about your hands can look like turtles. There was a little turtle who lived in a box, and you could tap the box of your instrument. Who lived in a box? So it'd be fun to talk about like the box it sits on. Who lived in a box? He swam in a puddle. He climbed on the rocks. You could even do swam in a puddle. He climbed on the rocks. So like swam could be like moving back and forth. Climbing could be like tapping different bars. And then it goes, he snapped at a mosquito, he snapped at a flea, he snapped at a minnow, and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito, he caught the flea, he caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. Like you could so easily do anything to that, and especially if you're already using the turtle analogy to help kids learn the mallets, like it would be so perfect. Okay, I didn't know about that poem until this afternoon, but obviously I'm programming that into my lessons. Another one that I have done before that would, again, be very easy is the one that goes, a great big cat and a wee little mouse ran round and round a high, high house. The wee little mouse got caught at last, 'cause the great big cat ran round so fast. And so when I teach this to my kinders, I teach it to them. It actually pairs really well with Wee Willie Winky because, you talk about what does wee mean when, small, whatever. So then you're like, wee little mouse, you could say, anyway. So for this one, I pull out my cat puppet because, of course, why not pull out your puppet? So I have a really fun poem that I think you're going to like. I doubt that. Yeah, I know, because you don't like when you have to come out for lessons. No, I would rather sleep and have snacks. Okay, yeah, but also, what happened the last time you came out for a poem? You called me naughty. You said I was a naughty kitty cat because I ate your sandwich. Yeah, you did. You shouldn't have eaten my sandwich. You sang at me. You clapped sticks at me for eating snacks. I am a totally innocent of. Yeah, we caught you. Anyway, naughty kitty cat. She comes out for that. So I've got this poem that goes, a great big cat and a wee little mouse. Wait. Are you saying I'm great? Well, I'm saying you're great big. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm great and I'm big? No, great big means like you're very big. Like great big means like really big. You're saying I'm really big? Yeah, well, I mean, compared to Tabby, sure. Anyway, a great big cat and a wee little mouse. What does wee mean? Wee means small. So wee little mouse means small, small mouse. Yeah, so it's a really small mouse, like especially compared to you. Anyway, so a great big cat and a wee little mouse. So I'm great and the mouse is small. Yeah, okay, so anyway, a great big cat and a wee little mouse ran round and round a high, high house. This is unrealistic. I would not run. I know you would not run. You'd probably sleep. You'd sleep round and round a great big house. Yeah, I do that. Anyway, so Fluffy comes in, interjects, and we have a good time. What I love doing with my kinders is I love messing up on purpose. A great big cat and a great big mouse. So like, no, mess around. It's a wee little mouse. Oh, is it? I'm sorry, I forgot. A great big cat and a wee little mouse ran round and round a high, high apartment. And they're like, not an apartment, it's a house. Oh, right, sorry, thanks for fixing it. A great big cat and a wee little mouse ran round and round a high, high house. But the wee little mouse got caught at last because the great big cat ran round so quickly. And they're like, not quickly, it's fast. Anyway, I like messing up on purpose. I do that all the time, and kids think it's hilarious, or they just like correcting. But the reason I do that is, one, to get them to listen for what is actually correct, to see if they can catch me, to correct and to find the correct patterns, but also it helps them learn a little bit more quickly. So fast, and learn so fast. Anyway, so that could easily translate to something here on the instruments. A great big cat and a wee little mouse. You could show the increments with the mallets, right? Or you could even be like, a great big cat and a wee little mouse. You know, you could do that, or you could do great big, whatever. Ran round and round a high, high house. You could make a little house with the peaks of the mallets. I think it's totally fine to take the mallets and whatever and to draw things, you know, to use them like a paintbrush, to turn them into other things, to make the house out of them, right? Like it's fun for kids. It gets them more tactile use with this, with the mallets, and also then you can, you know, you'll be ready to play. You could also just do a great big cat, like the biggest bar, and a wee little mouse, the smallest bar. You could do that. That'd be easy too. Ran round and round. You could go around. You could go round and round. A high, high house. You could have a word like house, so like you have to stop running and do the house action when we get to house. But the wee little mouse got caught at last because the great big cat ran around so slowly. Ran around, jumped around so fast. Ran around so fast. You know, you could then also do the, oh no, I forgot, on the bars. But then you could also change the words. You could do a great big cat and a wee little mouse jumped all around the high, high house. So you could change the movement words, so you could change your action, where you could do hopped all around and do just one hand, hopped all around the high, high house. Or you could do tiptoed around and round. So this poem gives you different options. You can do moving around, you can do movement with the mallets, you can then change the way you move on the instrument, but it gives you some chances to explore. Those are just 3 finger plays. The Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Quick, the turtle one, what's it officially called? There Was a Little Turtle. If you just search on Google, There Was a Little Turtle, and finger play, which is what any sort of song where your fingers are acting out the story, it'll bring that up. And then Great Big Cat is another one. It'd be so much fun to add, to do these as a finger play first, and then move them to an instrument for exploration. And you could have, you know, if you don't have all the instruments, you could have some kids on instruments, you could have some kids doing just the finger play and then have them switch the next day, or you could do rhythm sticks. There are lots of different options for how you do this. But use finger plays, use poems like that, because they're so expressive and they have so many different avenues for what next, that they'd be really easy to put on the instruments. Okay, I'll try and bring back more ideas like this. I feel like every time I share these ideas, people are like, yes, we need more. So I'm going to keep coming up with some more, because that's what I'm doing with my students right now, is spending more time exploring the instruments, getting them going, because eventually we're going to use them to accompany or to do melodies or to do improvisation or whatever. But it really starts with the play, and it starts with exploring, seeing what you can do, trying to make patterns, trying to identify, trying to make connections between movement or between words or between something else and something on the instrument. It's making those connections and exploring. So anytime we do this, great big cat, how could we show great big, and then we talk about all the different ways. Oh, we could use the big bar. We could talk about, oh, big like this or what, we do all of that. Every time we do this, we talk through a lot of those things, but the exploration is just so important. In the ORF world, we call that preparatory play. They're playing with and they're trying different things before we get to an outcome. Okay, so I'll be sharing more of these as I can. I hope this was helpful. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there are these 2 brand new books. They're linked, brand new, they're not brand new, they're new to me. These 2 brand new books, My America the Beautiful and the 10 Fat Turkeys, that I have linked on the links page if you're interested. If you are interested in making your own xylophone covers, you can get your own covers at like Walmart. They're just shower curtain liners. And then that video on how to make the covers is linked on the links page. Okay, everyone, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, you can add them in the chat, or you can email me at makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. I would be happy to help if I can help. All right, everyone, have a great week. Thanks so much for joining me tonight.